Traffic in Council Bluffs sometimes held up for more than an hour because of Union Pacific trains stopped on the tracks.
A coalition of the groups Concerned Citizens of Pottawatomie County and United Today Stronger Tomorrow Iowa are hosting a town hall at 5:30 tonight. They'll update the community on where they stand in finding solutions to the problem. This comes less than a week after the coalition met with Union Pacific and the city's mayor. They say UP is looking at federal grants to put toward paying for data collection devices. Those could warn drivers when a train is blocking a crossing so they can find an alternative route. They could also monitor how frequently crossings are blocked and for how long.
The data that TrainFo would gather would be the data that would say, okay, now you qualify for these infrastructure funds because this is an issue.
In order to get those grade separation grants, those large grants that would allow viaducts to be built, we would have to have collected data that justifies the city receiving those grants.
Railroads are not subject to local laws, and the Federal Railroad Administration previously told First Alert 6 there is no federal statute on regulation on blocked crossings. Again, that town hall meeting is happening shortly, 5:30 in the community room at the Council Bluffs Police Department, and they are encouraging residents to show up. Now, Union Pacific did give us a statement today saying, quote, Union Pacific is in close communication with city officials and other key stakeholders in Council Bluffs, Iowa regarding rail operations in the city. We're working to mitigate any related impacts, including enhancing safety and education outreach.